Look around you, look at your environment, because whether you admit it or not, it is designing you. Every conversation you tolerate, every standard you accept, every room you stay in, you are not becoming who you want to be. You are becoming who your environment allows you to be. The people around you are shaping your ambition. The media you consume is scripting your thoughts. The standards you normalize are setting your ceiling. If you want to change your life, stop trying to change yourself and start changing what surrounds you, because you don't rise to your goals. You sink to your environment. Chapter 1: Your environment is your invisible architect. You believe you are choosing your life. You believe your habits are personal decisions. You believe your standards come from within. They don't. Your environment is your invisible architect. It is designing you quietly, patiently, relentlessly. It shapes your habits. It shapes your language. It shapes your expectations. It even shapes how you see yourself. And it does it without asking for your permission. Look around you right now. The room you sit in, the people you text, the conversations you tolerate, the content you consume, the energy you normalize. That is your architect. You do not rise randomly. You respond consistently. Just like a plant grows toward light, you grow toward whatever surrounds you. Put the plant in darkness, it bends toward darkness. Put it near sunlight, it stretches toward brightness. It doesn't negotiate, it reacts, so do you. If your environment is full of excuses, you will find reasons. If it is full of action, you will find momentum. If it is full of distraction, you will struggle with focus. If it is full of discipline, discipline becomes natural. This is not about motivation. It is about exposure. What you are repeatedly exposed to becomes what you consider normal, and what feels normal becomes what you repeat. That is how identity is formed. Let's make this uncomfortable. Take an average performer, average skills, average confidence, average drive. Place that person inside a high-performance workplace. A company where excellence is expected, where deadlines matter, where preparation is assumed, where accountability is immediate. At first, they struggle. They feel behind. They feel pressure. Good. Pressure forces adaptation. Slowly, they begin to show up earlier, speak more clearly, prepare more thoroughly, take feedback seriously. Not because they suddenly discovered hidden talent, but because the environment demanded growth. Standards are contagious. Now flip it. Take a high performer, disciplined, focused, driven. Place that person in a mediocre environment. Lateness is ignored. Excuses are common. Complaining is normal. Ambition is mocked. At first, they resist. Then they soften. Then they blend. Not because they lack character, but because constant resistance is exhausting. Eventually, they match the temperature of the room. Standards are contagious. This is why you must stop saying, "I'll stay strong no matter where I am." That is ego talking. And ego loses to environment over time. You do not make decisions in isolation. You make decisions based on what feels acceptable. If everyone around you saves money, saving feels normal. If everyone spends recklessly, spending feels harmless. If everyone reads, reading feels standard. If everyone scrolls for hours, scrolling feels justified. Normal is powerful, and normal is created by environment. Pay attention to your language. Does your circle speak about opportunity or obstacles? Do they talk about building or surviving? Do they speak about ownership or dependency? Your vocabulary shapes your reality. If that's just how it is common in your circle, you will accept limits. If "how can we improve this" is common, you will search for solutions. Again, this is not personality. It is programming. Your environment programs you through repetition. Repetition builds familiarity. Familiarity builds comfort. Comfort builds identity. Now let's go deeper. Your environment doesn't just shape behavior. It shapes belief. If you grow up surrounded by people who believe wealth is rare, you will subconsciously sabotage abundance. If you are surrounded by people who treat wealth as a skill to be learned, your brain searches for methods instead of excuses. If you are around people who see health as optional, you will treat it casually. If you are around people who treat health as non-negotiable, you will adjust automatically. You don't have to be told directly. You absorb it indirectly. That is the power of proximity, and proximity is a choice. Here's the dangerous part. Slow decline feels normal. When standards drop gradually, you don't notice. When ambition shrinks slowly, you don't panic. When discipline weakens over time, you rationalize. But the architect never stops building. Every day you stay in a low-standard environment, you reinforce those standards inside yourself. Every day you immerse yourself in excellence, you stretch your internal ceiling. So ask yourself honestly, what does my current environment reward? Does it reward effort or minimalism? Does it reward growth or gossip? Does it reward ownership or blame? Because you will move toward what gets rewarded. Humans seek acceptance, and acceptance is controlled by the environment. If hard work gets you respected, you will work hard. If comfort gets you accepted, you will seek comfort. This is why elite athletes train together. This is why top entrepreneurs mastermind together. This is why high performers cluster. Not for status, for calibration. When excellence is the baseline, you rise to meet it. When mediocrity is the baseline, excellence feels extreme. You want excellence to feel normal. Let's move from theory to action. First, audit your social environment. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with, not the 5 you admire, the 5 you actually interact with weekly. Now write the dominant traits of each person. Are they disciplined? Are they reactive? Are they ambitious? Are they stagnant? Are they optimistic? Are they negative? Now calculate the average. If you continue spending time there for the next 5 years, who do you become? If that answer makes you uncomfortable, good. Awareness is the first disruption of the architect. Second, audit your physical environment. Your room, your workspace, your home. Is it structured, clean, intentional? Or chaotic and distracting? Your surroundings signal behavior. A cluttered space encourages scattered thinking. A focused space encourages execution. You cannot expect mental clarity in physical chaos. Design your environment to support the identity you want. If you want to read more, place books in visible positions. If you want to work out, make your equipment accessible. If you want to focus, remove distractions. Make excellence easier than mediocrity. Third, audit your digital environment. Your phone is a room. Who are you following? What content fills your feed? What conversations dominate your messages? If your digital space is full of outrage, comparison, and mindless entertainment, don't act surprised when your focus is weak. Curate your inputs. Unfollow, mute, replace. Your mind is absorbing everything. Now understand this clearly. You are also someone else's environment. You influence others the same way they influence you. If you tolerate low standards, you reinforce them. If you raise standards, you challenge them. You cannot demand excellence while embodying average. The architect works both ways. So here is your responsibility. Be intentional about where you stand and what you normalize. Stop underestimating proximity. Stop believing you are immune. Stop pretending willpower alone can override constant exposure. You are being shaped every single day. The only question is whether you are shaping your environment back. Because here is the truth that anchors this entire chapter. You do not rise to your intentions. You adapt to your surroundings. If you normalize excellence, excellence becomes effortless. If you normalize discipline, discipline becomes default. If you normalize growth, growth becomes identity. Your environment is building you right now, so decide what it builds. You've seen the invisible architect. You understand how standards spread. You understand how normal becomes destiny. But awareness alone is not enough. You must act, because knowing your environment shapes you is one thing. Designing it intentionally is another. You understand the architect. Now it's time to stop relying on raw willpower and start restructuring the room itself. Chapter 2: Stop blaming willpower. Upgrade your room. Willpower is overrated. You have been taught that success is about discipline, about mental toughness, about wanting it badly enough. And yes, discipline matters, but discipline without the right environment is a losing battle. Willpower is temporary. Environment is constant. You wake up with a full battery in the morning. You feel strong, focused, determined. By afternoon, the battery drains. By evening, it's empty. That's willpower. It fades. Your environment does not fade. It sits there, all day, every day, quietly influencing you, nudging you, tempting you, steering you. If your surroundings require daily resistance, you will eventually lose. Not because you are weak, because you are human. Imagine trying to get in shape while living in a house filled with junk food. Your friends invite you out for drinks every weekend. Your coworkers order fast food daily. Your social media feed glorifies indulgence. You tell yourself, I'll just be strong. For a week, maybe two, you fight it. You say no, you push through cravings, you resist. Then one night you're tired, stressed, emotionally drained, and you give in, not because you lack desire, but because your environment demanded constant resistance. Now flip it. Imagine living in a house where healthy food is normal. Your friends meet at the gym instead of the bar. Your coworkers bring meal prep. Your social feed is filled with training, progress, discipline. You don't need heroic willpower. You simply follow the flow of the room. That is the difference. Make success easier than failure. Repeat that. Make success easier than failure. Most people try to force themselves to win in an environment designed for losing. Then they blame themselves when they burn out. Stop blaming your character. Start redesigning your room. You say you want to read more, but your couch faces a giant television. Your phone sits within reach. Your books are buried in a drawer. You say you want to focus, but your notifications are on. Your workspace is cluttered. Your schedule is reactive. You say you want to save money, but your circle spends casually. Your habits revolve around consumption. Your environment celebrates appearance over ownership. And you think the solution is more willpower. No, the solution is friction. You must create friction for bad habits and remove friction for good ones. Right now, failure is easy. Success is hard. You need to reverse that. If junk food is visible, you eat it. If it's not in the house, you don't. If your alarm is across the room, you get up. If it's beside your bed, you snooze. If your gym bag is packed and waiting, you go. If you have to prepare everything from scratch, you hesitate. Tiny environmental shifts, massive behavioral impact. Stop trying to overpower temptation. Outdesign it. Willpower is temporary. Environment is constant. Think about addiction. Recovery programs don't just tell people to be stronger. They remove them from the environment that reinforces the behavior. New spaces, new circles, new routines, because the room matters. Let's talk about peer groups. If you are surrounded by people who mock ambition, you will shrink your goals. If you are surrounded by people who normalize progress, you will stretch naturally. You might believe you are immune to peer pressure. You're not. Peer pressure doesn't disappear with age. It gets subtle. It becomes social calibration. You adjust to avoid friction. You soften to stay accepted. So ask yourself honestly, does your environment pull you forward or hold you back? If every improvement requires fighting your surroundings, you are in the wrong room. This does not mean you abandon everyone immediately. It means you increase exposure to better rooms. Spend more time with people who live the standard you want. If you want financial discipline, spend time with investors, savers, builders. If you want physical strength, immerse yourself in training communities. If you want intellectual growth, surround yourself with readers and thinkers. Immersion beats intention. You cannot casually visit excellence and expect permanent change. You must marinate in it. Make success easier than failure. Design your home intentionally. Design your schedule intentionally. Design your social exposure intentionally. Let's get tactical. Step 1. Control your mornings. The first environment you enter each day sets your trajectory. If the first thing you see is chaos, news outrage, and social comparison, your mind is reactive. Instead, create a structured start. No phone for the first 30 minutes. Clear workspace. Define priorities. Step 2. Control your defaults. What is your default behavior when bored, when stressed, when tired? If the default is scrolling, snacking, or complaining, redesign it. Replace the app placement. Replace the snack options. Replace the response pattern. Step 3. Control your access. Convenience drives behavior. If something is easy, you will do it. If it is inconvenient, you won't. Want to practice guitar? Leave it visible. Want to write? Keep your document open. Want to stop gaming? Unplug the console. Want to limit social media? Delete the app. Reduce access to what weakens you. Increase access to what strengthens you. You are not fragile. You are adaptive. Adaptation is powerful when directed. Right now, many people live in environments that demand weakness, endless distraction, instant gratification, low accountability, constant comparison, and they blame themselves for struggling. Stop that. Blame the design. Then change the design. High performers understand this. They don't rely on daily heroic decisions. They automate excellence through structure. They join rooms that demand growth. They place themselves where the standard is high. Because when the standard is high, mediocrity feels uncomfortable. That's what you want. You want mediocrity to feel awkward. You want discipline to feel normal. You want growth to feel expected. And that only happens when the room changes. Let's go back to the core truth from Chapter 1. Your environment is your invisible architect. Now you understand something deeper. If the architect is building the wrong structure, you don't yell at the bricks. You change the blueprint. Willpower is temporary. Environment is constant. So here is your challenge. This week, upgrade one room, not 10. 1. Your workspace, your kitchen, your phone, your friend group exposure, your morning routine. Pick one environment and design it to make success easier than failure. Remove one distraction. Add one supportive element. Increase exposure to one higher standard. Small shifts compound. When the room improves, you improve. When the structure strengthens, your behavior stabilizes. You are not meant to fight your environment forever. You are meant to engineer it. Because the truth remains, you become who you surround. And if you surround yourself with structures that support growth, growth becomes inevitable. You've stopped blaming willpower. You've accepted that the room shapes the result. Now it's time to look deeper at what you are allowing inside that room, because sometimes the problem isn't just the structure. It's the standards you tolerate within it. Chapter 3. You absorb the standards you tolerate. Standards are not announced, they are absorbed. No one gathers you in a room and says, from today forward, this is the level of mediocrity we accept. It doesn't happen like that. It happens slowly, quietly, through repetition. Every joke you allow, every excuse you ignore, every low standard you accept, it becomes part of you. Tolerance is transformation. You think you're just being patient, easygoing, understanding. No, you're calibrating. What you tolerate, you become. Say it again. What you tolerate, you become. If you tolerate laziness, you slowly soften your edge. If you tolerate disrespect, you slowly lower your self-worth. If you tolerate inconsistency, you slowly weaken your discipline. You don't stay neutral. You drift. Let's make this real. Picture a workplace where meetings always start 10 minutes late. Deadlines are flexible. I'll get to it tomorrow is common language. No one gets fired for underperforming. No one gets rewarded for overperforming. Now drop a punctual, driven, high-standard individual into that environment. At first, they show up on time. They deliver early. They push hard, but no one else does. Over time, they wait longer. They relax deadlines. They stop pushing as intensely. Why? Because behavior calibrates to group expectation. Humans are wired for alignment. You don't want to be the outlier forever. You don't want friction daily. So you adjust, slowly, subtly, until average feels normal. This is how decline happens, not through dramatic collapse, through tolerated standards. What you tolerate, you become. Now flip the scenario. Place an average employee into a high-performance environment. Meetings start exactly on time. Deadlines are firm. Preparation is assumed. Feedback is direct. Excellence is praised publicly. At first, they feel exposed. Good. Exposure forces elevation. They either rise or they leave. High-standard environments do not bend to comfort. They demand growth, and growth becomes the new normal. This is the power of standards. Standards are contagious. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people claim high standards while tolerating low ones. You say you value health, but you tolerate skipped workouts. You tolerate poor sleep. You tolerate constant stress. You say you value respect, but you tolerate subtle disrespect. You tolerate being talked over. You tolerate broken promises. You say you value growth, but you tolerate endless scrolling. You tolerate shallow conversations. You tolerate stagnation. You cannot claim a standard you do not enforce. Enforcement doesn't mean aggression. It means boundaries. It means correction. It means saying that's not acceptable. Let's bring this closer to home. Think about your friend group. What behaviors are normalized? Constant complaining, gossip, excuses, financial irresponsibility, cynicism toward ambition. If you sit in those conversations silently, you are endorsing them. Silence is tolerance. Tolerance is transformation. You don't have to laugh at every low-standard joke. You don't have to participate in every negative conversation, but if you repeatedly expose yourself to it without resistance, it becomes familiar, and familiarity becomes identity. You start using the same language, the same tone, the same limitations. What you tolerate, you become. This applies to your internal standards too. If you tolerate hitting snooze, you become someone who negotiates with discipline. If you tolerate procrastination, you become someone who delays growth. If you tolerate half effort, you become someone comfortable with half results. You are training yourself daily. Training happens through repetition. Repetition happens through tolerance. Now understand this. Raising your standards is uncomfortable. It creates friction. When you stop laughing at disrespectful jokes, people notice. When you start showing up early consistently, people feel exposed. When you stop participating in gossip, conversations shift. You might feel isolated. Good. Isolation at a higher standard is better than belonging at a lower one. You must decide which discomfort you prefer, the discomfort of growth or the discomfort of regret. Let's get tactical. Step 1. Define your non-negotiables. What behaviors are unacceptable in your life? Chronic lateness, dishonesty, poor effort. Health neglect, write them down. Clarity creates power. Step 2. Enforce gently but consistently. If someone shows up late repeatedly, address it. If conversations drift into negativity, redirect them. If you slip on your own standards, correct immediately. Correction prevents drift. Drift destroys excellence. Step 3. Reduce exposure where correction fails. Not everyone will rise with you. Not every room will adjust. Some environments are built on low standards. You cannot renovate every building. Sometimes you must leave. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. If you stay in a room that celebrates what you are trying to eliminate, you will lose over time. Remember Chapter 1. Your environment is your invisible architect. Remember Chapter 2. If the room requires daily resistance, you will burn out. Now you see the deeper layer. It's not just about the room. It's about the standards inside it. You must stop tolerating what weakens you. You must stop normalizing what limits you. You must stop laughing at what lowers the bar. High performers are not magically stronger. They simply refuse to tolerate what drags them down. They protect their standards aggressively. They correct quickly. They leave environments that refuse to evolve. And because of that, their identity strengthens. Let me ask you something directly. Where in your life have you quietly lowered the bar? Where have you said, it's fine, when it's not? Where have you accepted average when you desire excellence? Where have you stayed silent when correction was needed? That is the crack in your foundation. Seal it today. Raise one standard publicly. Enforce one boundary clearly. Eliminate one tolerated behavior immediately. Small adjustments, big shifts. Because once you raise the standard, everything changes. Your posture changes, your language changes, your expectations change, and others respond. Some will rise, some will leave. Both outcomes serve you. What you tolerate, you become. Burn that into your mind. If you tolerate low effort, you become low effort. If you tolerate excellence, you become excellent. Your identity is not formed by what you say you value. It is formed by what you allow repeatedly. You are always absorbing, always calibrating, always becoming. So choose your standards carefully, protect them fiercely. And remember the core truth of this entire journey. You become who you surround, and and you surround yourself not just with people, but with standards. You've stopped blaming willpower. You've recognized the invisible architect. Now you've confronted the truth about tolerance. But standards don't just affect behavior. They shape ambition itself. And if your ambition has been shrinking quietly, it's time to confront why. Chapter 4: Proximity Rewrites Ambition. Ambition is not fixed. It expands, it contracts, it stretches, it shrinks. And it does not do this randomly. It responds to proximity. Who you stand next to determines how far you believe you can go. Small thinkers shrink your vision. Bold thinkers stretch it. Your ceiling is the average of your circle. Let that sit. Your ceiling is the average of your circle. You might believe your ambition comes from within, that it's a personal fire, a private drive. But ambition is heavily influenced by what you are exposed to consistently. If everyone around you talks about surviving, you aim to survive. If everyone talks about building, you aim to build. If everyone talks about escaping the week, you aim for Friday. If everyone talks about long-term legacy, you aim for decades. Proximity rewrites ambition. Let's make this real. Take an entrepreneur earning modest income, working hard, thinking in thousands. A good month means an extra $5,000. A big year means crossing 6 figures. That feels large. Now place that same entrepreneur in a room with founders discussing scaling to 8 figures, talking about hiring executive teams, talking about acquiring competitors, talking about expansion across countries. At first, it sounds insane, unrealistic, intimidating. Then something happens. The numbers stop sounding impossible. They start sounding practical, tactical, strategic. The entrepreneur begins thinking in millions instead of thousands. Nothing about their intelligence changed. Their proximity did. Exposure recalibrates expectation. When you consistently hear higher-level thinking, your internal standard rises. You begin asking bigger questions. You start solving bigger problems. You stop playing small because small feels out of place. Your ceiling is the average of your circle. Now flip it. Take someone with massive goals. Put them in a room where ambition is mocked, where risk is feared, where safety is praised, where dreaming big is labeled unrealistic. What happens? They quiet down. They soften their language. They minimize their goals. They stop sharing their vision. Ambition shrinks in environments that cannot hold it. And here is the hard truth. Most people don't lose ambition because they fail. They lose ambition because they normalize smallness. They stay in rooms where average is celebrated, and average becomes contagious. You don't need someone to tell you to lower your goals. You just need to sit long enough in conversations that never rise above comfort. Proximity rewrites ambition. Look at your 5 closest influences, not the ones you follow occasionally, the ones you speak to weekly, the ones whose opinions you hear regularly, the ones whose lives you observe up close. What level are they operating at? Are they thinking in weeks or years? Are they focused on consumption or creation? Are they discussing growth or gossip? If you continue standing next to them for the next 5 years, how big will you think? Be honest, because ambition is fragile in the wrong room. You may have noticed something before. When you attend a high-level event, mastermind, conference, or workshop, your thinking explodes. You leave energized. Ideas flood your mind. You feel expanded. Then you return home, back to the same conversations, the same limitations, the same energy, and slowly that expansion fades. Why? Because proximity changed temporarily, then it reverted. You cannot visit big thinking occasionally and expect permanent expansion. You must increase exposure consistently. Immersion creates identity. If you want to think bigger, you must stand closer to bigger. Now understand this clearly. This is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. You can love people and still recognize they are not aligned with your next level. You can respect someone and still outgrow their mindset. Growth demands recalibration, and recalibration demands new proximity. Let's get practical. Step 1. Upgrade your conversations. If your current circle rarely discusses growth, bring it up, share ideas, ask bigger questions, introduce new topics. Sometimes the room rises when someone leads. But if it resists consistently, you need supplemental environments. Step 2. Increase exposure to higher-level thinkers. Join communities, attend events, seek mentors, engage in rooms where you feel slightly uncomfortable, where you are not the most advanced person present. Discomfort is expansion. Comfort is contraction. Step 3. Control your digital proximity. Your phone is a room. If your feed is filled with distractions, gossip, and surface-level content, your ambition shrinks. If your feed is filled with builders, thinkers, investors, creators, your ambition stretches. Curate aggressively. Unfollow what makes you smaller. Follow what makes you sharper. Step 4. Measure your reaction. When someone around you achieves something massive, what is your instinctive response? Inspiration or insecurity? Celebration or criticism? Your reaction reveals your calibration. High-ambition environments celebrate big wins. Low-ambition environments downplay them. You must choose which energy you stand near. Your ceiling is the average of your circle. If you want a higher ceiling, raise the average. Now let's address the fear. Many people hesitate to enter bigger rooms because they feel inadequate, underqualified, behind. Good. That is the signal you are in the right place. If you are always the most ambitious person in the room, your growth slows. If you are surrounded by people slightly ahead of you, your ambition stretches naturally. Stretching is uncomfortable, but shrinking is dangerous. You do not need to become someone else. You need to expand who you already are, and expansion requires proximity. Think about athletes. Training alone builds discipline. Training with elite competitors builds greatness. Why? Because when you see someone operating at a higher level daily, your standard rises automatically. The same applies to business, to health, to mindset. To relationships, ambition is contagious, but so is complacency. You must decide which one you want to catch. Stop assuming you can hold massive ambition in a room built for minimal effort. Stop expecting to think in millions when everyone around you thinks in survival. Raise your exposure. Raise your standard, raise your proximity, because here is the truth that connects this entire chapter to the core theme of this book. You become who you surround, and who you surround yourself with determines how big you allow yourself to think. Your environment shapes your habits. Your environment shapes your standards, and now you see clearly, it shapes your ambition. So ask yourself one final question. Is your current circle expanding you or containing you? If it's containing you, it's time to increase your proximity to bigger players. Because your future is not determined by your current potential, it is determined by the level of thinking you normalize daily. You've seen how proximity rewrites ambition. Now it's time to understand something even deeper. It's not just your goals that are shaped socially. It's your identity itself. Chapter 5. Your identity is a social agreement. You believe your identity is personal, private, independent, self-created. It's not. Your identity is a social agreement. It is shaped, reinforced, and maintained by the people around you. You act in ways that preserve your place in the group. Read that again. You act in ways that preserve your place in the group. From childhood, you were assigned roles. Maybe you were the smart one, maybe the athletic one, maybe the funny one, maybe the quiet one, maybe the troublemaker, maybe the responsible one. And once that label stuck, you performed it, not consciously, automatically, because acceptance is powerful. Let's break it down. If you were labeled the smart one, you leaned into academics. You studied harder. You answered questions confidently. You protected that image. Failing publicly felt threatening because it challenged your assigned role. If you were labeled the funny one, you kept making jokes. You deflected serious moments. You avoided vulnerability because being serious risked losing your identity. You performed the role your environment assigned, and you are still doing it. Identity is not just who you think you are. It is who your environment expects you to be. In every group, there are roles: the leader, the peacemaker, the skeptic, the risk-taker, the victim, the achiever. And once you settle into one, the group reinforces it. If you try to step outside it, you feel resistance. Why? Because groups crave stability. When you change, you disrupt the social agreement. Let's make this uncomfortable. If you are the unmotivated one in your circle, what happens when you suddenly become disciplined? People joke, they question it. They test you. If you are the spender in your family, what happens when you start saving and investing? People tease you. They challenge your change. If you are the laid-back one, what happens when you start taking things seriously? They say you've changed. Yes, you have. And that threatens the agreement. So most people retreat. They return to the familiar role, because belonging feels safer than growth. You perform the role your environment assigns. Now understand this. Identity is reinforced through feedback. When you act in alignment with your assigned role, you are rewarded with acceptance. Laughter, approval, inclusion. When you step outside it, you feel friction. Friction creates doubt. Doubt pulls you back. This is why change is so difficult inside the same environment. Not because transformation is impossible, but because the stage remains the same, and the stage defines the script. Change the stage, change the role. If you move to a new city where no one knows you, something interesting happens. You feel free, free to act differently, free to try new behaviors, free to redefine yourself. Why? Because the old social agreement doesn't exist there. You are not trapped by expectations. The environment doesn't demand your old performance. This is powerful. It proves something critical. Your identity is more flexible than you think, but only when the environment allows it. If you remain in rooms that expect the old version of you, you will subconsciously revert. So what do? First, recognize the roles you are playing. In your friend group, who are you? In your family, who are you? At work, who are you? Write it down. Are you the dependable one, the negative one, the dreamer, the procrastinator, the joker, the quiet observer? Now ask yourself, is this role aligned with who I want to become? If not, you must renegotiate the agreement, and renegotiation creates discomfort. You will need to act differently before you feel comfortable. You will need to endure comments, questions, resistance. That's the cost of rewriting identity. But here's the truth. If you don't choose your role intentionally, your environment will choose it for you. And you will spend years performing a character you never consciously selected. You perform the role your environment assigns. So assign yourself a new one. Start small. If you've been the unmotivated one, start showing up early consistently. If you've been the joker, allow yourself serious conversations. If you've been the passive one, speak up once per meeting. Repetition builds new identity, but repetition requires reinforcement. That means you must seek environments that reward the version of you that you are becoming. If you want to be seen as disciplined, spend time around disciplined people. If you want to be seen as ambitious, spend time around ambitious builders. If you want to be seen as thoughtful, surround yourself with thinkers. When your new behavior is normalized, it strengthens. When it is mocked, it weakens. Change the stage, change the role. This doesn't mean abandoning everyone immediately. It means expanding your exposure. Spend less time where your growth is resisted. Spend more time where it is expected, because identity solidifies through social proof. When others respond to you as the new version, you internalize it. When they treat you as the old version, you revert. Your environment confirms who you are. Now here is the deeper layer. You also assign roles to others. If you constantly treat someone as irresponsible, they lean into it. If you treat someone as capable, they rise. If you see someone as weak, they often stay weak around you. The social agreement works both ways. So if you want your environment to evolve, stop reinforcing outdated roles. Call out growth. Acknowledge discipline. Reward effort. Be the person who assigns higher identities, because you become who you surround. And who you surround yourself with is constantly telling you who you are. Let me ask you directly, are you living as your highest potential, or are you performing a role that keeps you accepted? Are you shrinking to fit the room, or expanding to redefine it? You do not have to stay who you were, but you cannot stay in the same script and expect a new character. Change the stage, change the exposure, change the reinforcement, and your identity will shift. This entire book has been building toward this realization. Your environment is your invisible architect. Willpower fades if the room is wrong. standards spread through tolerance, ambition stretches through proximity, and now you see the final piece of this layer. Identity is negotiated socially. You perform the role your environment assigns. So if you want a new identity, you must upgrade the environment that confirms it. You've confronted your role. Now it's time to look at something even more subtle. It's not just roles and standards that spread. It's emotional energy itself. Chapter 6, Energy is Contagious. Choose carefully. Energy spreads, faster than ideas, faster than advice, faster than intention. One person's mood can shift an entire room. One attitude can redirect a group's trajectory. One mindset can define a day, a week, a month, even a life. Energy is contagious, and it doesn't ask permission. If you are around cynicism, it sneaks in. Slowly, subtly, you might not notice it at first. The jokes, the complaints, the sighs, the eye rolls, they infect your perspective. Before long, your drive feels smaller. Your focus falters, your ambition shrinks. If you are around optimism, it amplifies you. Ambition feels easier. Discipline feels normal. Ideas start flowing. Energy transfers faster than advice. Repeat that. Energy transfers faster than advice. Let me be direct. You cannot outwork constant negativity. You cannot outthink constant distraction. You cannot willpower your way past habitual low energy in your environment. You can try, but it's a losing battle. Look at your circle, the people you spend most of your time with, who raises the room, who drags it down, not in theory, today, right now. One cynical friend can lower an entire group's momentum. One disciplined, focused, ambitious friend can elevate everyone's productivity. The impact is real, immediate, measurable. Take a simple example. Imagine a team meeting. Everyone arrives neutral. One person begins complaining, doubting every plan. By the end of the hour, energy has shifted. Excitement dims. Creativity slows. Momentum dies. Now same meeting, but a single proactive, solution-oriented person opens the discussion. Ideas fly. Confidence rises. Decisions are made. Momentum grows. Energy shapes outcomes before plans do. This applies to your personal life as much as your professional life. If you constantly scroll through social media filled with outrage, insecurity, and comparison, you absorb that energy. Your attention, your mood, your motivation, they drain without you realizing it. If you spend hours talking to friends who complain but never act, your ambitions feel heavy. Your ideas feel risky. Your drive feels unnecessary. Now flip it. Curate your input carefully. Consume content that excites you. Speak to people who inspire you. Engage in environments that reinforce energy, not drain it. Energy transfers faster than advice. Let's make this practical. Step 1. Audit your circle. Write down the 5 people you interact with most. Assess the energy they bring into your life. Are they draining or elevating? Are they optimistic or negative? Are they building or just criticizing? If the answer is consistently draining, take action. Limit exposure. Move interactions to structured environments. Replace habitual contact with new, higher energy sources. Step 2. Protect your mental atmosphere. Your mind is a room. Guard the door. Choose what enters. Conversations, media, notifications, physical spaces, they all transfer energy. Remove the toxic ones. Introduce the positive ones. Even small changes compound. Step 3. Lead with your own energy. You cannot control everyone, but you can control yourself. Arrive at meetings, conversations, and your day intentionally. Be proactive. Set tone. Energy is like gravity. It pulls people toward it. If you radiate focus, drive, and positivity, you uplift others. But make no mistake, energy also amplifies weakness. Lethargy breeds lethargy. Doubt breeds doubt. Complaints breed complaints. Here's the harsh truth. You are responsible for the energy you accept into your life. You cannot claim growth while tolerating constant negative influence. You cannot elevate while immersing in low-energy environments. Let's talk about proximity again. Remember Chapter 4, ambition expands or contracts depending on who you spend time with. Energy works the same way. Spend time around momentum, and your drive multiplies. Spend time around resistance, and your effort dissipates. One disciplined friend can make you 2 times more productive. One cynical friend can sap your focus for hours. That is the math of energy. That is why elite performers guard their circles. That is why top leaders curate their environments. Here's a key point. Energy compounds over time. Small daily interactions matter. 10 minutes of negative chatter per day adds up to months of diminished ambition. 10 minutes of high-energy discussion per day compounds into years of elevated output. You cannot ignore this law. Step 4. Be intentional about transfer. Energy is a gift and a weapon. If you are driven, use your energy to lift others. If you are focused, use your energy to create momentum. Surround yourself with those who do the same. Step 5. Set non-negotiables. You will not tolerate chronic energy drains. You will not engage in repetitive complaints. You will not join conversations that diminish ambition. Protect your time, your mind, your mental state. Energy is currency. Spend it wisely. Now let's make this real with a story. One of the most successful entrepreneurs I know started his company surrounded by mediocrity. Most peers were content with small goals, complaining, reactive. His drive was constantly tested. He could have burned out. Instead, he strategically built a new circle. He joined mastermind groups. He hired people with energy he wanted to internalize. He immersed himself in environments that elevated him daily. Within months, his personal energy, ambition, and productivity skyrocketed. This is no coincidence. Energy is contagious. Momentum is contagious. Drive is contagious, and you have the power to control it. It starts with awareness. Audit, observe, decide, then it moves to action. Remove energy drains. Introduce energy amplifiers. Stand closer to those who elevate. Distance yourself from those who diminish. Protect your mental atmosphere. The takeaway is simple. Do not underestimate emotional exposure. Do not ignore subtle drains. Do not assume you can thrive in low-energy rooms. You can't, not consistently, not long-term. Energy transfers faster than advice. Protect yours, elevate others. Choose wisely who you allow close. And remember this truth as it connects to everything you've learned in this book so far. Your environment shapes your habits. Your environment spreads standards. Your environment stretches or shrinks your ambition. Your environment defines your identity. And now your environment transfers energy. Every interaction, every conversation, every exposure has a cumulative effect on your drive, focus, and execution. You cannot escape it. You can only manage it. The challenge is clear. Audit your circles. Assess energy levels. Remove toxic influences. Introduce high-energy sources. Guard your mental state fiercely. Lead with your own energy. Compounds will follow. Your future depends on it. Energy is contagious. Choose carefully, protect it, amplify it, and let it lift you higher than you ever could alone. You've seen the power of energy. You've seen how it spreads faster than advice. You've seen how it compounds over time. Now, it's time to look even deeper at the subtle forces that determine how your environment dictates your results. Chapter 7: Digital environments shape you just as powerfully. Your environment is not just physical, it is digital. Every scroll, every swipe, every play, every click, every notification, every algorithmic suggestion shapes your mind, your behavior, your expectations, your reality. Your phone is an environment. And like any environment, it is quietly, relentlessly designing you. Repeat that. Your phone is an environment. It programs beliefs. It programs desires. It programs identity. It programs expectations. You might not notice it. You might believe you are immune. You are not. What you consume consumes you. Say it again, say it slowly. What you consume consumes you. Let's unpack this. Scroll through social media for a few minutes. Observe carefully. What dominates your feed? Luxury lifestyles, conflict, gossip, fear, motivation, inspiration, creativity, complaints, comparison. Each exposure sends a signal to your brain. This is normal. This is achievable. This is expected. Constant exposure to luxury content expands desire. You suddenly feel like a 5-bedroom house, a new car, or designer clothes are necessary, even if you could never afford them now, even if they were irrelevant to your life. Desire inflates, satisfaction deflates. Anxiety creeps in, constant exposure to outrage fuels anger, fear, cynicism, distrust. Subtle changes to your mood compound over time. Suddenly the world feels hostile. Everyone is at fault. Nothing is possible. Momentum dies before it starts. Music does the same. The playlist you loop daily programs your energy and mindset. Aggressive, dark, self-pitying music amplifies those states. Motivational, energetic, forward-moving music expands drive. Your emotional baseline shifts based on your curated audio environment. Podcasts, too. The people you listen to daily influence your beliefs, your vocabulary, your perspective. Low-level chatter produces low-level thinking. High-level ideas produce high-level thinking, but the effect is cumulative. Exposure compounds. Even news feeds are a factor. Constant negativity, constant crisis reporting, constant fear alerts the amygdala. Over time, your brain normalizes threat and conflict. Your behavior becomes reactive, cautious, defensive, anxious. Your ambition shrinks. Your focus falters. Your digital environment is a quiet architect. And here's the danger: it's invisible. You can spend hours in it every day and convince yourself you are improving, informed, or entertained. But in reality, your mindset, your energy, your standards, your ambitions are being remodeled subtly, consistently. You don't need to take my word for it. Just notice your behavior. Are you reactive to posts and comments? Are your expectations rising or falling? Are your goals expanding or contracting? Your digital environment is giving you all the data. This is why digital hygiene is critical. Step 1. Audit your inputs. Open your phone right now. List your top 5 apps. List the 5 people you interact with most online. List the podcasts and channels you consume regularly. Now evaluate. Do these sources elevate you or drain you? Do they expand your thinking or shrink it? Do they push you toward action or encourage passivity? Be brutally honest. Step 2. Curate aggressively. Remove feeds that drain energy. Unfollow, mute, delete, unsubscribe. Stop consuming content that normalizes mediocrity, envy, fear, or laziness. Replace them with content that reinforces standards, ambition, growth, and action. Follow creators who challenge you, teach you, and expand your thinking. Listen to podcasts that stretch your understanding. Subscribe to newsletters that inform and empower, not distract. Step 3. Control time. Exposure is not just about content, it's about duration. Even high-quality content, if consumed excessively, can fatigue your brain. Schedule your consumption. Limit scrolling. Batch media intake. Use time intentionally. Step 4. Use digital tools as allies, not adversaries. Set notifications intentionally. Place apps where they support, not distract. Turn off autoplay for endless feeds. Curate your home screen to reflect priorities, not impulses. Step 5. Become conscious of programming. Every piece of digital content is a signal. Every algorithmic suggestion is a nudge. Every video, tweet, or post subtly calibrates your beliefs and expectations. Awareness is the first step. Conscious selection is the second. Let me give you a concrete example. An ambitious professional wants to level up career and income. Every morning they scroll social media filled with distractions, memes, passive content, gossip, outrage. By noon, focus is weakened, energy is low, ambition is dulled. Now the same professional replaces that digital environment. Motivational podcasts during commute, newsletters from industry leaders, curated feeds of high-performing peers, educational YouTube content. By noon, energy is elevated, ideas flow, priorities are clear. The brain is aligned with growth. Results accelerate. Small exposure differences compound into massive results over months and years. Your digital environment is not neutral. It either elevates or erodes. It either programs you for action or for passivity. It either stretches ambition or shrinks it. It either increases standards or normalizes mediocrity. And because digital exposure is constant, the effect is faster and stronger than physical environments alone. You cannot ignore it. You cannot assume willpower alone will save you. You must curate aggressively. Step 6. Evaluate emotional transfer. Notice your mood after scrolling or consuming media. Energy high or low, optimistic or drained, motivated or passive. The environment transfers energy even when you think you are merely observing. Protect your mental atmosphere digitally as fiercely as physically. Step 7. Integrate intentionally. Your phone is not just a tool, it is your environment. Treat it like one. Structure it, design it, optimize it. Use it to reinforce standards, ambition, focus, and growth, not distraction, stagnation, or anxiety. Digital environments shape identity just as powerfully as physical ones. They reinforce standards. They amplify ambition. They transfer energy. They enforce roles. They determine the ceiling of your thinking. Your physical room matters. Your social circles matter. Your proximity to high-performing individuals matters, and your digital inputs are now an inseparable part of the equation. Do not underestimate the quiet architect that sits in your pocket. You've read it, you've experienced it. Now act. Audit, curate, control, integrate. Protect your mental atmosphere as fiercely as your real-world environment. Because the person you are becoming is a product not only of where you live and who you spend time with, but also what you consume digitally every single day. What you consume consumes you. Curate aggressively. Protect your mind. Elevate consistently. And with that, you've taken a critical step in mastering the invisible forces shaping your identity, standards, energy, and ambition. Next, we move from consumption to action, from passive exposure to active habit. Chapter 8. Success requires strategic distance. Growth is uncomfortable, not because you are weak, not because you lack discipline, not because you fail to try. Growth is uncomfortable because it often demands separation, distance, strategic distance, not hatred, not ego, not abandoning values, just distance. You can love people and still outgrow the room. Say it slowly. You can love people and still outgrow the room. Repeat it again. You can love people and still outgrow the room. Many people fear this truth. They fear leaving, stepping away, or creating space between themselves and their current environment. They worry about judgment. They worry about loyalty. They worry about guilt. Here's the reality. Loyalty should not cost your future. Not once, not ever. Let me explain. Your current environment, your family, your friends, your city, your colleagues may have shaped you. It may have nurtured you. It may have been all you knew. But that environment may not be capable of holding the next version of you. And if you try to grow without distance, you hit invisible walls. Invisible walls are lethal. They drain energy. They compress ambition. They normalize mediocrity. They keep you performing old roles. They quietly shrink your ceiling. Sometimes separation is necessary. Imagine a small town, limited resources, few high performers, limited ideas about what's possible. A person with ambition stays and they encounter the friction of familiarity. The town loves them, but it does not expand with them. Every success is met with mild criticism or disbelief. Every risk is questioned. Every new idea feels heavy because the environment cannot match it. Now imagine that same person moves to a city of opportunity, bigger circles, higher standards, faster pace, new ideas, greater access. They stretch, they rise, they become. Nothing about their talent changed. Their work ethic did not change. What changed was proximity, environment, exposure, distance from old constraints. This is strategic distance. It is not betrayal, it is not abandonment, it is an essential tactic for growth. Distance clarifies, distance strengthens, distance exposes what is possible. Let's get real. Many people hold themselves back to avoid leaving people behind. They fear judgment. They fear missing family events. They fear criticism. They fear being misunderstood. All valid feelings, all irrelevant to your growth. You are not responsible for limiting your potential to keep others comfortable. Growth is never convenient. It is never popular. It is never easy. Strategic distance is a tool, not a weapon. It is temporary in some cases. It is permanent in others, but it is always deliberate. Step 1. Identify friction points. Where in your life do people or environments quietly limit your growth? Who resists your progress? Which habits are reinforced by old environments that no longer serve you? Which conversations, relationships, or places sap your momentum? Step 2. Create space. It can be physical. Move, travel, relocate, change cities, change homes, change work environments, step into a new stage. It can be social. Spend less time with low-energy or risk-averse peers. Limit interactions that reinforce mediocrity. Introduce yourself to people who reflect your next-level self. It can be mental. Change routines. Shift daily exposure. Curate inputs. Avoid endless comparisons or negative reinforcement from old networks. Step 3. Maintain love and integrity. Distance is not hate. Distance is strategy. You can care deeply about people while creating the space needed for your growth. Communicate your intentions. Explain your purpose if necessary. Protect relationships where possible, but do not allow comfort to replace opportunity. Step 4. Leverage distance for perspective. When you step away from limiting environments, clarity arrives. You see patterns, you see new possibilities, you see the behaviors, systems, and structures that were quietly holding you back. Distance provides insight that proximity never allows. Let me illustrate. A friend of mine grew up in a small city, talented, ambitious, yet every risk was questioned, every idea second-guessed. Growth felt constrained. He moved to a major hub in his industry. Within months, exposure to high standards, faster execution, and diverse perspectives rewired his ambition. He learned strategies he never imagined. His work ethic expanded, his network amplified, his trajectory skyrocketed. He did not abandon his roots, he respected them. He honored relationships, but he understood that loyalty cannot cost your future. Step 5. Reinforce independence. Distance alone is not enough. You must also build self-reliance. Growth environments demand accountability. If you step away physically but remain emotionally or mentally dependent on old environments, distance loses power. Step 6. Observe your progress. Notice how ambition feels after creating strategic distance. Observe energy levels. Observe decision-making. Observe creativity and drive. Distance should produce measurable expansion if done correctly. Step 7. Integrate selectively. Distance does not mean permanent exile. It means strategic alignment. Some relationships, people, and environments are essential to your life. Others are constraints. Identify which is which. Protect and reinforce beneficial ones. Limit or restructure harmful ones. Let's tie this back to previous lessons. Your environment is your invisible architect. Chapter 1. Willpower is temporary. Design your surroundings. Chapter 2. Standards shape identity. Chapter 3. Proximity rewrites ambition. Chapter 4. Identity is a social agreement. Chapter 5. Energy is contagious. Chapter 6. Digital inputs shape your mind. Chapter 7. Now you see, sometimes the only way to fully leverage all these principles is to create space from what is holding you back. Distance is the ultimate amplifier. It allows habits to take root, standards to rise, energy to flow, ambition to stretch, identity to evolve. It clarifies priorities, it reduces friction, it accelerates exposure to new opportunities. Without distance, growth is constrained, momentum slows, potential fades. The challenge is clear. Examine your life. Identify environments, people, or patterns that quietly limit your next-level self. Strategically create space. Protect your integrity. Maintain connection where possible, but never at the expense of your growth. Remember, you can love people and still outgrow the room. Do not let guilt, fear, or obligation keep you small. Distance is not betrayal. It is leverage. Step into it deliberately. Step into it consistently. Step into it with clarity, because your future is not determined by loyalty to comfort. It is determined by the environments that expand you. You've learned the power of environment, standards, proximity, identity, energy, and digital influence. Strategic distance is the culmination, a conscious act to accelerate your transformation. Chapter 9. Build environments that force growth. Growth does not rely on motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes like the wind. But environments are constant. Design beats desire. Say it again, design beats desire. The right environment does the heavy lifting for you. It automates excellence. It enforces discipline. It makes action easier and inaction harder. Step 1. Understand friction. Friction is the invisible force that slows behavior, the small resistance that prevents good habits, the tiny convenience that allows bad ones. Most people fail because their environments are frictionless for the wrong things. Check your day. Where is ease enabling laziness? Where is convenience reinforcing distraction? Where are you surrounded by signals that lower standards? Now flip it. Add friction to bad habits. Remove friction from good ones. It's that simple. Want to stop scrolling social media? Make it hard. Delete apps. Log out. Move your phone. Add layers of resistance. Want to exercise consistently? Make it easy. Lay out workout clothes the night before. Have water and equipment ready. Make the environment demand action. Step 2. Leverage accountability. Writers who join accountability groups publish more. Entrepreneurs who report progress weekly produce better results. Investors who surround themselves with disciplined thinkers take smarter risks. Accountability is environmental engineering. It creates friction for inaction. It creates convenience for action. Step 3. Remove distraction. Your room, your desk, your phone, your notifications, these are all levers. Every unnecessary distraction is a trap. Remove it. Structure your environment so your best behavior is the path of least resistance. Step 4. Curate proximity to excellence. Your habits are caught more than taught. Surround yourself with people who model the behaviors you want. Your environment should constantly normalize the standards you aim to internalize. Step 5. Embed visual cues. The mind responds to signals. Post reminders of goals. Display metrics. Surround yourself with visual prompts that reinforce discipline and growth. Your environment should whisper constantly, do the work, take action, stay disciplined. Step 6. Create default behaviors. The highest performers structure their environments so that the default option is the one that drives growth. Want to read daily? Keep books within arm's reach. Want to write? Keep your journal or laptop open and accessible. Want to invest wisely? Subscribe to disciplined research, not gossip. Make the productive choice automatic. Step 7. Engineer energy flows. As we discussed in Chapter 6, energy is contagious. Structure your environment so that high-energy cues dominate. Music, lighting, social interaction, and even digital content should reinforce the state you need to perform at your best. Step 8. Test and iterate. Your environment is a living system. Observe how it affects your behavior. Adjust friction, signals, and access points. Keep what accelerates growth. Remove what stagnates it. Let's make this real. A writer struggles to produce content. Motivation comes in waves, but results are inconsistent. They join a small accountability group. They set deadlines. They report progress weekly. They keep their workspace minimal. Within months, output doubles. Consistency beats inspiration. Environment enforce the behavior. An investor wants to make smarter decisions. They surround themselves with disciplined peers. They have structured research routines. They remove distractions from social media. Over time, decision quality improves. Risk is mitigated. Opportunity is amplified. The environment engineered the behavior. Step 9. Embrace discomfort. Well-designed environments are not always comfortable. They challenge, they demand effort. They resist shortcuts. That's the point. Growth is not easy. Ease is a trap. Environment is the lever that forces you into action even when motivation is low. Step 10. Automate standards. Excellence becomes default when the environment enforces it. Habits form automatically when friction favors the right behaviors. Desire alone is insufficient. You must engineer the surroundings that make the right choice inevitable. Remember the principle: design beats desire. You cannot rely on fleeting willpower. You cannot rely on temporary inspiration. You cannot rely on luck or chance. You must engineer your surroundings to force growth, to make discipline inevitable, and to make excellence unavoidable. Step 11. Apply this across every dimension of life. Health. Remove junk food, prep meals, make exercise accessible. Wealth. Automate savings, track spending, surround with financially literate peers. Relationship. Minimize exposure to negativity, maximize interaction with supportive, ambitious people. Knowledge. Keep reading material accessible, consume high-value digital content, limit distraction. Environment is the invisible architect. Step 12. Iterate consistently. Every few months, audit your spaces, routines, digital habits, and relationships. Adjust friction and flow to continue forcing growth. The environment is not static, neither should you be. Step 13. Internalize the principle. Eventually, you will notice the magic. Habits become effortless. Discipline becomes automatic. Motivation becomes optional. You perform at your best consistently, all because your environment is aligned with your highest self. This is how great performers operate. They engineer surroundings that make failure difficult and success inevitable. They eliminate reliance on fleeting desire. They automate growth. Step 14. Combine with previous principles. Designing growth environments amplifies everything we've discussed. Standards become habits. Proximity rewrites ambition. Energy spreads through carefully curated circles. Digital inputs reinforce your mindset. Distance allows transformation. Designing your environment is the final lever before results become unavoidable. So take inventory. Ask yourself, where is friction helping the wrong habits? Where is convenience sabotaging growth? Where can I structure my surroundings to enforce discipline, energy, and high standards? Engineer it, curate it, protect it, because design beats desire, because environments automate excellence, because success is a consequence of strategic engineering, not random effort. And with that, you are prepared to take control of the invisible forces around you. You've learned to manage people, energy, digital exposure, proximity, distance, and habits. The final step is discipline, silent, relentless, non-negotiable. Chapter 10. Become the standard in every room. You've done the work, you've audited your environment, you've curated energy, you've adjusted proximity, you've created distance where necessary, you've designed habits and structured your surroundings to force growth, you've upgraded yourself. Now comes the final and most powerful step. You must become the standard in every room you enter. Yes, not just a participant, not just someone influenced. The standard, the measure, the example. Think about it. Influence flows both ways. Environment shapes you. But once you step up, you also shape the environment. You set the tone. You raise or lower the ceiling. You model behavior. Repeat this. You set the tone. You raise or lower the ceiling. One high performer in a team of mediocre thinkers transforms results. One disciplined person in a circle of distracted peers elevates focus. One committed individual in a group of quitters spreads persistence. Standards are contagious. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. The thermometer merely reacts. The thermostat sets the temperature. Say it slowly. Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. High achievers understand this intuitively. They show up early. They prepare more than anyone else. They speak less, act more. They do what is expected and then some. Their energy, discipline, and clarity recalibrate everyone around them. Now let's break this down practically. Step 1. Own your presence. When you enter a room, physical, digital, or professional, you must act intentionally. Every interaction communicates standards. Your posture, your tone, your preparation, your energy, your questions, your silence, all of it signals expectations. Step 2. Model the behavior you want to see. If you want others to show up on time, be on time consistently. If you want focus and productivity, eliminate distractions and demonstrate relentless execution. If you want accountability, own mistakes publicly and improve quietly. Your actions become the benchmark. People unconsciously mirror the standard you set. Step 3. Amplify excellence. Notice potential in others and reinforce it. Give credit when deserved. Encourage high effort. Challenge complacency gently but firmly. When excellence is visible, it becomes normalized. Standards propagate faster than instruction. Step 4. Protect your environment. Even as the standard, you must guard the room against entropy. One habitual pessimist or underperformer can erode momentum. Address it strategically, correct, redirect, or distance. High standards cannot survive constant tolerance of mediocrity. Protect your influence. Step 5. Extend influence beyond presence. Standards do not disappear when you leave the room. Write processes, document systems, leave clarity behind, teach methods that enforce your principles. Influence is amplified when environment is designed to sustain your standard even in your absence. Step 6. Master consistency. People notice patterns faster than words. Standards are not a one-time demonstration. Discipline, energy, clarity, and focus must be repeated day after day. Consistency transforms influence from temporary to permanent. The room adapts. The culture shifts. Step 7. Observe feedback. High achievers monitor how their presence impacts others. Are standards rising? Are behaviors shifting? Are outcomes improving? Feedback is a mirror. Adjust approach without compromising core principles. Influence is both art and science. Step 8. Avoid ego traps. Being the standard is not about dominating or showing superiority. It's about modeling, guiding, and setting invisible expectations. Ego diminishes credibility. Humility strengthens it. Excellence attracts, not pushes. Step 9. Integrate previous lessons. Consider the arc of this book. Environment shapes habits, energy, ambition, and identity. Energy is contagious. Proximity amplifies. Digital inputs matter. Strategic distance is necessary. Design forces growth. Now leverage it. You've optimized yourself. Now optimize the room. Set the thermostat. Influence the culture. Embed your principles silently, relentlessly, and consistently. Step 10. Become indispensable. Standards are respected, followed, and amplified. Teams, groups, and networks begin to reflect your values. They perform at higher levels not because they are told to, but because they have internalized the benchmark you exemplify. Your presence elevates the collective. Step 11. Lead through example, not instruction. People rarely follow directives alone. They follow modeled behavior. Do the work before demanding it. Show discipline before expecting it. Elevate energy before demanding engagement. Influence is strongest when silent, consistent, and visible in action. Step 12. Cultivate patience. Culture and environment shift gradually. Your influence compounds over weeks, months, and years. Be patient, yet relentless. Small, repeated demonstrations of standards outweigh any momentary enforcement. Excellence, once normalized, becomes unstoppable. Step 13. Embrace responsibility. Once you become the standard, you accept the responsibility of influence. The room will follow the energy you emit. The culture will reflect the discipline you model. This is power. Use it intentionally. Use it wisely. Step 14. Sustain growth personally while elevating others. You cannot let the room stagnate while you soar. Continue curating your own environment. Maintain high standards for yourself. Surround yourself with challenge. Absorb energy intentionally. Only by continuing your personal growth can you sustain the impact you have on others. Step 15. Reflect the principle everywhere. Physical rooms, teams, family, social media, digital communities. Every interaction is an opportunity to set the standard. Excellence is a cumulative effect. Influence compounds faster than effort alone. Step 16. Internalize the mantra. You are the thermostat. You set the temperature. You normalize discipline, energy, and clarity. You elevate others without diminishing yourself. You are the standard. Now let's illustrate this with an example. A high-performing manager joins a team with inconsistent standards. Meetings are chaotic. Deadlines slip. Energy is low. The manager arrives prepared, demonstrates clarity, communicates expectations calmly but firmly, and maintains consistent follow-through. Over months, the team's behavior shifts. Meetings run efficiently. Deadlines are met. Productivity rises. Standards are now normalized. The manager didn't yell, didn't coerce, didn't rely on temporary motivation. They became the standard. This principle applies to every room you enter: family dinners, friends gatherings, work meetings, online communities, social media groups. You influence the temperature every time. Choose deliberately. Step 17. Cement legacy. True leaders are remembered for the standards they established, not the words they spoke. Influence that outlives presence is the ultimate measure of impact. Become the standard, and your environment becomes the vehicle of lasting change. Step 18. Link back to the book's thesis. You become who you surround. Now, you are in a position to surround others intentionally. You absorb influence, but you also emit influence. You have curated energy, designed habits, leveraged distance, and managed digital and physical environments. You are now equipped to set standards, to be the thermostat, to elevate rooms, and to multiply excellence. Step 19. Issue the final challenge. Ask yourself, when I enter a room, what do I bring? Do I react to the environment, or do I define it? Do I allow standards to drift, or do I anchor them at the highest level? Be deliberate, be relentless, be consistent, be the standard. When you leave, the room will be measurably better for your presence. That is influence. That is mastery. That is the culmination of every principle in this book. You are no longer shaped solely by your environment. You shape it in return. Your energy, your standards, your clarity, your discipline, they ripple, they spread, they normalize, they elevate. And this is how transformation becomes inevitable. Set the thermostat, raise the ceiling, be the standard. The room will follow, the people will rise, the results will multiply. You are the invisible architect of every environment you enter. Own it, master it, lead it. You become the standard in every room. This concludes the journey. Now take it, apply it, live it, and watch how the world around you finally starts to reflect the highest version of yourself. You now understand the truth most people ignore. You are not stuck because you lack talent. You are not stagnant because you lack motivation. You are shaped every day quietly by what surrounds you. Your circle sets your ceiling. Your standards set your identity. Your environment sets your future. If you want a stronger mind, surround yourself with stronger thinkers. If you want bigger results, stand in bigger rooms. If you want discipline, immerse yourself in disciplined people. Stop fighting your environment and start engineering it. Audit every room you enter. Audit every voice you allow. Audit every influence you tolerate, because the future version of you is waiting on one decision, the decision to upgrade your surroundings. So here is your challenge. Within the next 24 hours, change one environment, one room, one input, one circle. Make success inevitable. Because you don't become what you wish for, you become what you surround yourself with.